Tracy asks Jason to break the news regarding Drew's shooting to Monica, only for him to discover she's died. Cody is reading the news at his place and talking with Outback. He warns the dog that she must keep the barking down, as Tracy can't find her here. Dante returns to the Q's kitchen after a run and chats with Chase about the Judge Heron case. Chase shares his thinking that Drew wanted to get rid of Willow's kids all along, so he could have Willow to himself, and that gives him a motive to kill the judge, so Willow never found out about his bribe. Dante points out that this bribe, if it were discovered, would give Michael and Willow motive to shoot Drew. Chase knows. In the foyer, Wiley shows Brooke Lynn, Michael and Tracy his look for the first day of school. The doorbell rings, and it's Willow and Scout. Wiley rushes into his mom's arms and asks what she's doing here. Scout explains that Grandma Monica always wishes her good luck on the first day of school. Wiley pipes up that she does the same for him, and asks his mom to take him along with Scout to see Grandma Monica. Tracy refuses to allow it, so Brooke Lynn takes the kids up. Tracy, Michael, and Willow step into the living room, and Tracy tells Willow that using Monica's first day of school ritual as an excuse to get into this house is despicable. Willow says Scout wanted to see her grandmother. She turns to Michael, reminding him that they're getting a new judge, one who is likely to sympathize with her. Willow calls it Michael's chance to make nice with her for his sake. Michael tells Willow that until they return to court, Judge Heron's ruling stands. He admits he felt bad for her after that ruling, but now he wouldn't change it if he could, as she's unfit to be a mother. Willow tells Michael that Drew believes he shot him, and when he goes to prison for it, she'll make sure he never lays eyes on their children again. Michael tells her that he didn't shoot Drew, and he's not going anywhere. Brooke Lynn returns with the kids, and Grandma Monica was thrilled to see them. Back in the stables, Cody allows Outback to stay for a while, but reminds her not to bark. Britt wakes up in Jason's room above Bobby's, and complains about being stuck in a Victorian boarding house room with no attached bathroom. She heads to the bathroom, showers, and makes her way back to Jason's room, only to find she's locked out. She screams out of frustration. Jason sits at the counter at Bobby's, as Carly calls him. Carly needs Jason to find a way to protect Michael, as she suspects he may be guilty of shooting Drew. She asks him to see if Michael will confess to him, saying he owes her for keeping the truth about Sasha and Michael's pregnancy from her. She tells him no more secrets about her kids. As their talk turns to Britt, she appears in a towel and asks Jason why he didn't tell her that his door locks automatically. Carly is stunned to see Britt, all of her, and wishes she knew Jason had given Britt his room. Jason explains that it was late and let her crash in his room, which is empty since he's staying at the Q mansion. They're interrupted when Jason gets a call from Tracy. She tells him that he needs to come home, and she'll explain when he gets here. Jason asks Carly to handle the key situation for Britt and takes off. Carly digs out a key for Britt, who wonders why she is such a threat to Carly. Carly says she and Jason have been through everything together, and they have a trust she'll never have with Jason. Britt snarks at their unbreakable trust, causing Carly to wonder what she means. Will Chase tell Willow about the evidence? Back at the QS, Chase paces around the kitchen when Brooke Lynn storms in and tells Chase about Willow's latest desperate stunt with Scout. Chase vents that he has information that would lead Willow to leave Drew for good, but if he tells her, he's violating his duties. Brooke Lynn tells Chase that everyone has tried to talk sense into Willow, so his revealing this to her might not be any different, and he could lose his job for nothing. She tells him she'll be with him, whatever he decides, kisses him, and must head out. At the stables, Dante announces his arrival, and Cody tells Outback to hide. Outback does, and Dante shocks Cody with the news that Jason found and brought back a very much alive Britt. Cody is taken aback, and Dante forgot that he and Britt had a thing once. Cody knows it was short-lived, and he gets why Dante isn't happy she's back, given what Britt did to him and Lulu. Dante rants that Britt let her mom think she was dead for 2 years, making her as twisted as ever. At the mansion, Jason arrives to find Tracy alone in the living room. Tracy updates Jason that the night Drew was shot, she saw Michael fleeing the scene of the crime, and they must protect him. Tracy also tells Jason she's managed to keep Monica from finding out about Drew, and she was thinking Jason could tell her. Jason says he'll do it right now. Kai meets Trina at the cafe and tells her about his visit with Drew last night. Drew doesn't suspect they were in his house, but Kai fears he could be a suspect as he has a key to Drew's place. He thinks they should keep their distance from one another for now. Trina says he has no motive, Drew trusts him, and he's the last person the police would suspect. She doesn't want him to keep his distance, and she appreciates his help. She hints they may be able to work their issues out. Kai just hopes they covered their tracks, and Trina admits she's worried they missed something. Joss and Vaughn return to their Australian bungalow after surfing. As they joke around, things get serious when Vaughn reminds her it's the end of the line for them. He has to head back soon, and she has to spend another week here for her cover story. Their talk turns to her cover and whether Britt will keep her mouth shut. If she talks, Vaughn says Brennan would likely relocate Joss to another college town where she's needed, and they likely wouldn't see each other again, which Vaughn notes might be for the best. They agree this isn't going to be easy. Willow sneaks back around to the QS kitchen and thinks about the fight she and Michael had about his going to jail. She looks around, as if she's up to no good, possibly for something to use to frame Michael with? Suddenly, Chase sees her and asks what she's doing here. She explains that Scout left her water bottle, and she was hoping to find it without running into anyone. She asks Chase if there is new information about the judge. He says there isn't. At the cafe, Trina and Kai recount what happened that night, and something feels wrong. Kai eventually realizes he left the bat in the living room, with his prints on it. In Australia, Joss tells Vaughn she doesn't want to pretend like they never happened. Vaughn says their feelings must stay here, in this room, forever. Joss leads him to the bed for possibly the last time. At Bobby's, Britt tells Carly that she has no desire to compete with her bond with Jason. She hopes to be out of here soon and never see Carly or Jason again. Britt heads up to her room. In the stables, Dante continues ranting about Britt, as Cody remains unsettled at the idea that Britt's alive again. Dante doesn't understand why Jason would bring Britt back. Finally, in the mansion, Tracy is on the phone with security, scolding them for allowing Willow onto the property. Jason returns with red eyes and his head hanging low. Jason tells Tracy that Monica was not a quiet town, but Jason Morgan had always been its calm center. Even in chaos, he found clarity. But this morning was different. The Corinthos coffee warehouse was eerily silent as he stood in the office, looking out the window, replaying the phone call Tracy Quartermain had made just hours ago. Jason, Tracy had said, her voice clipped but not unkind, Monica deserves to hear about Drew from family. And since you and Drew were finally getting along, she trailed off before her tone softened. You're the only one who can do this right. Jason didn't argue. He never did with Tracy. But something about the way she said it sat heavily on his chest. Drew had been shot the night before, a botched meeting gone wrong on the docks, and while he was stable at General Hospital, the news was grim enough to warrant a personal visit to Monica. Jason drove up to the Quartermain mansion, the road familiar, the house looming against the bright autumn sky. Walking through the gates always felt like stepping into another life. A life he might have lived if fate hadn't twisted the way it had. Alice, the housekeeper, met him at the door. Mr. Morgan, she said with a solemn nod. Miss Tracy is in the parlor. Tracy was sitting on the sofa, her usual steely exterior cracking just a little. She stood when Jason entered. Thank you for coming, she said simply. Monica's in her room. She hasn't been feeling well. I thought, maybe you should tell her before she hears it from someone else. Jason gave a single nod. Where is she? Upstairs, Tracy said, her voice quieter than usual. Second door on the right. Jason took the stairs slowly, the creak of the wood echoing louder than usual. He wasn't sure why his chest was tight. Maybe it was guilt. He had spent years staying away from this house, from Monica, from the part of himself that was Alan Quartermain's son. He reached Monica's door and knocked gently. No answer. He knocked again, then slowly opened the door. The room was quiet, sun streaming in through the sheer curtains. Monica lay in bed, looking peaceful, as if she were just napping. Monica! Jason said softly. No response. He crossed the room, dread prickling up his spine. He gently touched her hand. Cool. Too cool. The breath left his chest. He sat down beside the bed, staring at her face. She looked serene, almost smiling, but there was no life in her. Jason had been around death for years. More than he could count, but this was different. This was Monica, the woman who never gave up on him, no matter how many times he pushed her away. He stayed there for what felt like forever, trying to absorb it. Trying to believe it. Finally he stood, his jaw tight, and went back downstairs. Tracy looked up the moment he entered. Well, she asked. Jason stopped in the doorway, his hands clenched at his sides. She's gone, he said quietly. Tracy's face drained of color. What? She's gone, Jason repeated, his voice rougher this time. Tracy swayed slightly, and for a moment, Jason thought she might sit back down. But instead, she straightened, steel sliding back into her spine. I knew she wasn't feeling well, but I didn't, she broke off, her eyes glistening. Oh, damn it, Monica. Jason stood still, the weight of the news pressing down on him. He wasn't sure what to do next. Call the hospital, call Ned, call Michael. The Quartermaines deserved to know, but he needed a moment before turning this into another family tragedy. Tracy's composure didn't last long. She sat down and pressed her fingers to her forehead. This house will be unbearable without her, she whispered. She kept us all in line. Even me. Jason moved to sit across from her. She was proud of you, Tracy said suddenly, looking at him. You know that, right? She told me just last week that she was glad you and Drew were finally acting like brothers. Jason's throat tightened. He wasn't good at words, especially not about feelings. She never stopped believing in me, he said finally. Even when I didn't deserve it. There was silence for a moment before Tracy said, Drew needs to know. Jason nodded. I'll go to the hospital. On the drive to General Hospital, memories of Monica washed over him. Her hand on his face the first time she saw him after the accident, the way she always defended him even when the rest of the Quartermaines were furious, her quiet pride when he became a father.